Hello, I'm Patrick, and here's a continuation of ventilator training for this crisis for the COVID. This new ventilator that we're going to be showing here is called the LTV. It's a home ventilator, and we have these in the hospital also. So I'm going to run by how to set it up and how to use this little ventilator. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to receive this ventilator. It's going to be covered in plastic, and you're going to pull it out. And we have a circuit for it. And we're going to start by hooking up the circuit on this one. If you saw the previous video on the Puritan Bennett 840, that you noticed the circuit was blue. This one is clear. It also doesn't have two large tubings at the end. It has one large and three little tubings, and if you follow those three little tubings, it comes to the end of this one, which is your exhalation valve, and then the other tubing is come up to here, which measure pressure and monitor what's going on. So setting it up is a little differently. There's going to be all these little ports, and they're all located on this side of the ventilator, which will be, if you're facing the ventilator, will be on the right side. You notice the big port here? That is where this hose will plug in. And it is kind of hard to plug in. You have to stretch it over that. If you notice this little plastic piece is missing, look in the bag that you got this tubing from, the circuit, and you will find an extra one. Most of the time these are always plugged in, and they stay in pretty tight. So we plugged it back in. Next, you want to connect these little tubings, and if you look just a little bit up, you'll see up here that you have those three little ports. They are all different, so you cannot mistake which one you do. This one goes to the bottom. This one goes in the middle. And notice I am screwing them in. This one goes to the top, and this one also will have to be screwed in. So the first one is push. Middle one, the yellow one, you screwed in. And the top one, the white one, you screwed in. The circuit is now connected to the ventilator. Just like our Puritan Bennett friend, we were going to add these extra items that we talked about in the previous video of how to connect to the ventilator. You have your HME, which will plug in to the circuit. You have this tubing with the ballard that we discussed in the previous video also, which will be disconnected, and you connect this way, and you got your suction that goes to the patient. This part is ready to place on the patient. We'll set that down, and now we're going to zoom into the ventilator here, to the front of the ventilator, and I'll show you how to turn it on and make the settings. First, here is your on standby. Next, you have your type of ventilation, either volume or pressure. In our first settings, we're going to use volume. This is the mode of ventilation. We're going to have assist control, and SIMV and CPAP are on this side. We're going to start with assist control. This one is an inspiratory hold and a manual breath. We will not use those. And this right here is just to show you if there's a low pressure. If I forget to plug in my oxygen line, this would light up. And then this is just a lock that we will not be using. So let's go ahead and turn it on. As you turn it on, you can hear the beeping. It's very loud. You have messages at the top, and you have previous settings that the machine was on. Notice that the on is lit up, the volume is lit up, and the assist control is lit up. Let's look at our message board at the top. Notice it says same patient. For our intensive purposes, we're going to say we're using a new patient. To be able to change this, we have to use this little wheel right here. And we turn it. And as you turn it, it either says new patient or same patient. So we're going to go to new patient, and we're going to hit this select button right here. Oh, next menu. Is this an infant? No, it's not. So I'm going to turn this. Is it a pediatric patient? Nope. I'm going to keep turning it. We are going to select an adult patient. And we're going to hit the select button again. Notice it says low O2 pressure. Oh yeah, we have to connect our oxygen. Here it is. And again, like our previous video on the other ventilator, we're going to plug it into our wall outlet here, which let me remove we're just going to plug it in. And there it goes. We go back to our ventilator. Do we want to keep the alarm going? No. We're going to hit the silence button right over here. So that is now plugged in. If you want to clear this message which says low minute volume, you would hit the reset and it would reset. But right now we're just setting our settings. Just like our previous video with our Puritan Bennett ventilator, the 840, we're going to select the same settings. So to select, notice I push this button underneath the breaths per minute, and the rest will gray out, as you can see. We're going to turn this wheel to set to 18, and then we're going to push it again to set it. Next, we're going to go to tidal volume. Again, these are settings you're going to get from the physician. You're going to hit that, and let's say we go to 450. There we go. And we're going to select. This one's grayed out because it's not a setting you can change. Inspiratory time we're going to leave as is. And that is not something that the physician will prescribe. And then your oxygen level. Now I'm going to hit silence again. It just silences for a minute. Oxygen, we usually start with 100. Let's say for now we want to start on 50 for some odd reason. The physician said to start at 50%. Notice they're all lit up. Flow sensitivity is just like on the other machine. We do not touch that one. And then we're going to go down to this little green box right over here. This little green box here is your PEEP. We're going to put that, and this is again a setting that the physician will prescribe. A lot of times we usually use 3 or 5. We'll hit accept. And now we would get to the alarm portion or the safety portion of the device. And if you look, everything that you set initially is in the green box. Then after that, it's in the red box. If we look at the red box, the first one, it says high pressure limit or peak pressure limit. We want that to be a safe level, and like the other ventilators, a good place to start is 40. So when you start this, typically it'll be on 40. If you inflate patients with a pressure higher than 40, you may risk to pop a lung, create a pneumothorax, and that could be a safety thing. So this will limit the machine to not exceed the pressure of 40. The next one is a low pressure, meaning if the patient were to get disconnected from the ventilator for some reason, whether it's at the patient, at the ET tube, somewhere in the circuit, the machine would alarm. So you want that set. So this right now, it's set at 10 centimeters of water, which is a good setting. The next one is low minute volume or low minute ventilation. And that was set from 3 to 18 on the other machine, 18 being the high number and 3 being the low number. This machine only has the low number on it. So to start at 3 or 4 would be appropriate, depending on the patient's size, but a good cookie cutter beginning setting would be 3. At this point, we have our alarm set, we have our settings put in. We would just connect the patient. So again, because of our tidal volume of our test lung, we are going to decrease the tidal volume because it's not the normal size of a patient. And notice I dropped it to 170. You would connect the patient and then ventilation would start. And then the patient would be ventilating. And you can see the test lung opening and closing as the breaths are given. Notice we still have an alarm at the top. It says disconnect sense. You just hit the reset and you can just go right through all of them. And when you're done, it'll just give your peak pressure, what it's currently set, or what in your mean airway pressure, and it cycles through all different things. Your PEEP is 5, your frequency is 29 breaths per minute, and it's being activated more than normal because I'm moving the tube a little bit. You got your IE ratio, and so anyway, it gives you an idea of what's going on. Like peak pressure is one of those important things to monitor. So that basically concludes how to set up this machine. Again, you want to plug in. You want to plug in your oxygen, set up the tubing, set up the settings, set up your alarms, and then you're ready to ventilate the patient. Well, thank you for watching.